In this broadcast, we highlight the news making waves ranging from current affairs, community stories, sports and economic news. Here are the headlines. General public to get access to witness tabling of the national budget. Crocs hippos terrorize Kavango East residents, and South Korea empowers nurses as doctor strike continues. I am Diana Master and this is NMH at 1, our newspaper review segment coming right up. Before we get to the newspaper review, in our midday news update, the National Assembly has confirmed that the general public will have access to witness the tabling of the national budget by Finance Minister Ipumbushimi this afternoon. Stick around, we take a look at the news making headlines in all of Namibia's daily newspapers. Stick around.
Hi Sonia.
Hi Tufeni. What are you reading?
I'm reading about the Child Care and Protection Act in this pamphlet I got from school.
What's that?
It is Namibia's main law for the children and the issues affecting them. The Act classifies here that a child is anyone under the age of 18 years. Check out some of the rights meant to protect you. For more information, contact the Children's Advocate.
For more information, contact the Children's Advocate Namibia in the Office of the Ombudsman on 061 20 73 111. Send us an SMS on 20401. SMS costs 40 cents. You can also send us a message via our Facebook page. Remember, the services of the Children's Advocate are free of charge.
Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. We now take a look at what the lead stories are in Namibia's daily newspapers. Starting us off on the Namibian Sun front page, economists say government will have to decide whether it will increase social safety nets or prioritize infrastructure spending as the nation waits with bated breath for the tabling of the first post-Geingob national budget today. Late President Hage Geingob, during his New Year's message, expressed a desire to see monthly social grants for pensioners increased significantly. On the paper's page 2, residents of the Kavango East region have been urged to exercise extreme vigilance when fetching water, fishing or bathing in the Kavango River. Namibian Police Acting Regional Commander Deputy Commissioner Eino Nambahu said crocodile and hippo attacks have been reported in the area. Last week, crocodile attacks claimed 2 lives, he said. Last Sunday, 14-year-old Edward Kashire was attacked by a crocodile while bathing in the river. The incident took place at around 6 p.m. in the Mukwe constituency's Shajunu village. His body was discovered on Monday, split in 2 parts. In another tragic incident, Vishoni Ndumbu was attacked by a crocodile last Thursday at Mabushe village. She went to the river with 2 friends to fetch water and fish and was attacked in the process. Republican zooms in on Nando, a beautiful boy, but it is clear that care and love have not featured heavily in his short life in the Katutura State Hospital ward, where a social worker left him and cries in the evenings for his mummy. Palesa is kept in the respiratory unit and is also a social baby. Babies who are placed at the hospital by government social workers until a safe home or suitable foster care can be found for them. Palesa's development is delayed and she has allegedly been at the hospital for a year. According to a source who also sent photos of the infants to Namibia Media Holdings, some of the other social babies have already been at the hospital for 9 months. Some of the photos include the dirty clothes the babies have been reportedly wearing for 4 days or longer. It is unfortunate that some content of dossiers that are still being investigated are being distributed on social media, which is aimed at undermining the systems and processes in place and interfering with the administration of justice. This is according to a police media statement that was issued in response to various allegations that activist Michael Amashelelo made on social media last week. In one of his posts on Facebook, he claimed that corrupt police officers were involved in the assassination of 5 people in Okahanja in an attempt to cover up their involvement in a drug case. Moving over to the Allgemeine Zeitung's front page, stakeholders and affected parties had until February 23rd to submit well-founded objections and comments to the Namibian Environmental Commissioner against or in favor of the planned uranium mining in the Stampriet aquifer. The uranium is to be mined using the in-situ leaching process. That is what Allgemeine Zeitung in today's publication is opening with. On page 3, the Allgemeine Zeitung is attending to the police, which is advising the public against spreading false, misleading, unfounded, malicious and defamatory information on social media. A Namibian activist is apparently spreading such false information. It is unfortunate that some contents of police files that are still under investigation are being circulated on social media aimed at undermining the systems and processes in place and disrupting the administration of justice. This was stated by the police in a media statement released in response to various allegations made by activist Michael Amushelelo on social media last week. Stick around after the break. We bring you the second half of our newspaper review segment.
Neopaints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neopaints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neopaints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
On the Namibian newspaper's front page, taxpayers would have to fork out about 723 million Namibian dollars per month if the Treasury is to fulfill President Hage Geingoob's wish of increasing the country's pension and disability grants from 1,400 to 3,000 Namibian dollars. Should the Treasury increase these grants to at least 2,000 Namibian dollars, Namibia's taxpayers would have to pay 482 million Namibian dollars monthly. On its page 3, the paper reports that Namibia has firmly stated that the International Criminal Court of Justice has a mandate to address the Israel-Palestine conflict regarding the legal implications of Israel's occupation of Palestinian territories. This comes after Namibia, represented by Justice Minister Yvonne Dalsab and Kenyan Professor Fobi Okowa, argued Namibia's position at the ICJ on Friday. According to New Era's front page, Swakopmund residents are outraged over plans for a radioactive material storage and handling facility in the coastal town's general industrial area. Radioactive material, if not properly managed, can be a risk to human health and environment. Over the weekend, some residents created an online petition to block the proposed project. Over 1,200 residents already signed the petition. According to residents, the facility, if approved by the council, puts the lives of residents at risk as materials such as explosives, gases, flammable liquids and solids, oxidizing substances and toxic matter will be stored near their homes. On the New Era's third page, the exorbitant prices and sale of communal land are getting out of hand. Zambezi Governor Lawrence Sampofu has said land has become very expensive. Land, even communal land, is being sold left and right, which shouldn't be the case. Who has the right to determine the cost of communal land? People just come and say this is just 1 hectare, bringing 60,000 Namibian dollars. The other Induna traditional councillor will say 100,000 Namibian dollars, and another Induna will say 3,000 Namibian dollars. Who determines the cost of communal land? This should not be the case, he said. According to Market Watch, corporate and individual taxpayers are eagerly awaiting the tabling in the 2024 budget in Parliament this afternoon to hear whether Finance Minister Ipumbushimi delivers on his tax relief promises. When he tabled the mid-year budget review last October, Shimi reiterated his commitment to increase the tax exemption threshold for low-income earners from 50,000 to 100,000 Namibian dollars in 2024-2025. He also undertook to lower the non-mining corporate tax rate from 32% to 31% in the new fiscal year. Now, after the break, South Africa's largest vehicle dealer, Motus, said yesterday, while it's pleased with its diversification efforts and a pickup in operating profits, there are still some issues. We get into the details of the story after the break in Economic News.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraika. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
In economic news this afternoon, South Africa's largest vehicle dealer, Motors, said yesterday, while it's pleased with its diversification efforts and a pickup in operating profits, it's still under pressure from higher interest rates and weak consumer confidence. Revenue rose 11% to 57 billion rand in the 6 months to end December, and core profit 13% to 4.2 billion rand, but group profit fell just over a quarter to about 1.1 billion rand. Motors cut its interim dividend by about 22% to 2.35 rand per share, and in morning trade yesterday, the group was down about 3%, having fallen 14% in the past 12 months. The underlying results were boosted by a hefty UK acquisition in 2023, but net debt has picked up almost 40% to 16.2 billion rand. Net finance costs more than doubled to 1.1 billion rand. We now take a look at the economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades at 24.30 against the British pound, 20.81 to the euro, 19.27 against the US dollar, and 2 Namibian dollars and 67 cents buys you 1 Chinese yuan. First round Namibia stocks took a dip of 0.50%, while Letigo Holdings stocks took an upturn of 2.50%. The rest maintained, but Namibia Breweries Limited stocks took an upturn of 0.03%. Local index closed on an upturn of 0.12%, while overall index closed on a dip of 0.05%. All commodities are down, with Brent crude oil taking a dip of 0.58%, now trading at $82.51 US per barrel.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
We now expand beyond Namibia's borders to give you the latest news from the African continent here on NMH at 1. Millions of people in Sudan's Darfur region are at risk of dying of hunger after a decision by the Sudanese government to prohibit aid deliveries through Chad, an advocacy group for internally displaced people, said on Tuesday. The order, a digital copy of which Reuters has obtained, effectively shuts down a crucial route for supplies to the vast Darfur region controlled by the Rapid Support Forces, the army's rivals in a 10-month civil war. The failure to receive urgent humanitarian aid puts millions of displaced people in Darfur at risk of death from hunger, which makes denying food and relief to the displaced a war crime, the General Coordination for Displaced People and Refugees said in a statement. Food should not be used as a weapon against innocent citizens, it added. The group also accused the RSF of looting humanitarian assistance and hindering deliveries, as has the United States. The RSF has denied the accusation, while saying any rogue actors will be brought to justice. On Tuesday, medical aid group MSF said unidentified armed men had raided its base in Zalingay, the capital of Central Darfur, which is controlled by the RSF. The family of Nelson Mandela has declined an offer from the Gauteng government to use public funds to renovate the former statesman's Johannesburg home. This comes after concerns from the Johannesburg Heritage Foundation that the use of public funds for the renovation of the Houghton private home could create a bad precedent. The JHF spokesperson David Flemminger told the Citizen that he and other members of JHF were invited to a meeting by an organization which served as a middleman between the JHF and the Mandela family on Monday. Renovations to the Mandela House were discussed at the meeting, and it emerged that the Mandela family would rather use private donors to renovate the house. According to Flemminger, the JHF was also informed that the Mandela family had resolved ownership issues over the house. There had been a dispute among family members concerning who had rights to the house. Right after this, we get into international news. Stay tuned. South Korea granted nurses new powers and legal protections on Tuesday and launched an investigation into a patient's death as hospital chaos caused by striking trainee doctors entered a second week. Major hospitals are struggling to provide services after thousands of junior medics handed in their resignations and stopped working last week to protest against government plans to sharply increase medical school admissions in the face of a rapidly aging society. The government said Tuesday it would launch an investigation after a patient died of cardiac arrest in an ambulance after struggling to find a hospital. Emergency services contacted 7 different hospitals but were told there were no trainee doctors, the Daily Jung-ang Ilbo reported. The mass work stoppage has also resulted in cancellations and postponements of surgeries for cancer patients and C-sections for pregnant women, with the government raising its public health alert to the highest level. Nurses will now be allowed to perform some medical procedures previously reserved for doctors and offered immunity from potential lawsuits linked to their new scope of work, Second Vice Health Minister Park Min-soo said. This pilot program will legally protect the nurses who are filling the medical vacuum created by trainee doctors' walkouts at hospitals, Park said. Now, after the October 7 Hamas attack that sparked the war in Gaza, more than 10 British politicians spoken to by Reuters said the abuse directed at them had become more intense. At least one cited this as a factor in deciding not to seek a new term in Parliament in an election later this year. All spoke on condition of anonymity, saying they were fearful that giving their names would increase the threats and abuse. The conflict in the Palestinian enclave has inflamed tensions across the globe, bringing protesters onto the streets in support of both sides and dividing opinion among leaders over how to end the bloodshed. Many are considering taking steps to protect themselves, such as wearing stab vests in meetings or building safe rooms. Last week, Parliamentary Speaker Lindsay Hoyle sent Parliament into chaos when he broke with precedent to allow the 3 main parties to set out their positions on a call for a ceasefire in Gaza. The Interior Ministry announced funding worth £31 million on Wednesday to provide new security provisions for lawmakers and other officials. It would be used to protect democratic processes from disruption, it said. That brings us to the end of our international news. Stick around, we get into the world of sport right after this.
Hi Sonia.
Hi Tufani. What are you reading?
I'm reading about the Child Care and Protection Act in this pamphlet I got from school.
What's that?
It is Namibia's main law for the children and the issues affecting them. The act classifies here that a child is anyone under the age of 18 years. Check out some of the rights meant to protect you. For more information, contact the Children's Advocate.
For more information, contact the Children's Advocate Namibia in the Office of the Ombudsman on 061 20 73 111. Send us an SMS on 20401. SMS costs 40 cents. You can also send us a message via our Facebook page. Remember, the services of the Children's Advocate are free of charge.
Starting off our local sports news, all eyes are on Finance Minister Pumbushimi to see whether he'll stick to his pledge to boost the development of sports and youth when he tables his 2024-2025 budget in Parliament this afternoon. Sports, youth and national services have largely been benched the past few years. Out of a development budget of billions, sports and youth had to suffice with a meager $11.3 million Namibian dollars in 2021-2022 and an estimated $23 million Namibian dollars the next year. Last year, Shimi upped his game by allocating $50 million Namibian dollars to sports and youth development in his mid-year budget review. He also set his goal for this year at $80 million Namibian dollars. The Namibia Football Association and Netball Namibia have launched the 22nd edition of the Nedbank Namibian Newspaper Cup. The Omaheke region was granted the bid to host this year's edition in Kobabis to take place from Friday the 29th of March to Monday the 1st of April. The headline sponsor Nedbank Namibia is back to complement the Namibian Newspaper Cup, holding the naming rights of this extraordinary under-20 football and netball competition. The youth sport competition, spearheaded by the Namibian for the past 21 years, is the longest running sponsor for NFA's Namibia's under-20 football and netball players. There are two strikers of the South African top flight who are hunting down Siyabonga Nomvete's Premier Soccer League record of 123 goals, and they are getting close. Mamelodi Sundowns forward Peter Shalulile and crosstown rivals Bradley Grobler at SuperSport United are both within striking distance and could conceivably reach their targets this season, though they would need a purple patch of form. Shalulile has 113 goals for top flight clubs Highlands Park and Sundowns, putting him already second on the all-time list, 10 behind Nomvete. He has had a quiet campaign by standards with 9 goals in all competitions, but with Sundowns having potentially 26 more games to play in term, he should have plenty of chances to break the record if he can stay injury-free. We bring you international sports news right after this. Manchester United manager Erik ten Hag said he does not require promises of job security from new co-owner Jim Ratcliffe amid uncertainty over his future, adding that he is focused on ensuring the club continues to progress and improve. Ten Hag was hired in 2022 and guided United to a third-place finish in the Premier League, as well as the League Cup title in his first season, but their current campaign has been less than convincing. United's season has been plagued by inconsistent performances and injury woes, with the Manchester club in 6th place after their 2-1 league loss to Fulham on Saturday. Reigning champion Daniil Medvedev recorded a 6-3-7-5 win over Alexander Shevchenko of Kazakhstan on Tuesday in the first round of the Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships. Medvedev had withdrawn from 2 recent tournaments due to fatigue and a right foot injury, making the top-seeded Russian's first on-court appearance since losing to Jannik Sinner in the Australian Open final. Medvedev advances to face Italian Lorenzo Sonego, who posted a win over Sumit Nagal of India. The latter saved 2 breakpoints at 5-5 in the second before running out of steam in the third set of the 2-hour 19-minute match. Now, in the last of our international sports news, Formula One's 2024 calendar has a record 24 races, but former team boss Otmar Szafnauer reckons the limit could still be some way off. The American, on gardening leave until August after his stint as principal of Renault-owned Alpine ended last July, told Reuters ahead of Saturday's Bahrain season opener he felt the sport could manage more with careful planning. If you're just joining us, this is NMH at 1, and we will get into the highlights from today's broadcast on the other side of this.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
You're watching NMH at 1. For those of you that are just joining us, here are the news highlights from earlier on. South Korea granted nurses new powers and legal protections Tuesday as major hospitals struggled to provide services after thousands of junior medics handed in their resignations and stopped working last week to protest government plans to sharply increase medical school admissions. All eyes are on Finance Minister Ipumbushime to see whether he'll stick to his pledge to boost the development of sports and youth when he tables his 2024-2025 budget in Parliament this afternoon. NTV will give you live updates as the Finance Minister tables the budget at 2:30 p.m. this afternoon. Catch the updates on GoTV channel 265 and GoTV channel 25, as well as on all Namibia Media Holding social media sites. That is it for today's episode of NMH at 1. Do remember NMH at 1 streams live every weekday at 1 p.m. sharing the latest news in Namibia and beyond. From all of us in studio, happy Wednesday.